on these products and services in sales and marketing, or if you redesign or repackage them, you can turn them into winners in the market. These are the products and services that require immediate attention and the best energies of your most talented people. Then there are your losers, or your dogs. No matter how much effort you put into marketing and selling these products or services, no matter how much you repackage them or reformulate them, they are still not making much of an impression in the marketplace. They are a drain on funds and on the time and energies of your key people. These are the products and services that will die sooner or later because for whatever reason the market doesn't want them. In setting priorities for your business, your winners represent the top 20% of your business activities. You must never take them for granted. You must do everything possible to upgrade and improve them and ensure that they continue to be good sellers and generators of cash. Your potential stars are the products that have the potential of becoming big sellers if you spend enough time, attention, and money on them. They are your potential winners for the future. Investing time and money in these products and services is a high priority. The products and services that will die anyway, no matter how much time or money you invest in them, become your posteriorities. Especially in time of reduced markets and profitability, you must have the courage and decisiveness to accept that, although it seemed like a good idea at the time, this product or service does not justify the expenditures necessary to make it successful. It should be discontinued or abandoned so that you can devote your energies to those products and services that represent the future of the business and the cash flow of tomorrow. You can practice personal triage in your life as well. There are some things in your life that give you tremendous pleasure and satisfaction. These are the high priority uses of your time, such as your family and your personal activities. You should pay close attention to them and never take them for granted. There are potential uses of your time, activities, and money that represent the possibilities of the future. These are areas where you need to invest more of yourself and your time if you want to maximize everything that is possible for you in those areas. Finally, there are those people and activities in your life that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't start up with again today. These are the time traps and activities that you should downsize, minimize, and eliminate so that you have more time for those few things that give you the greatest pleasure and satisfaction. Look into the future. A key part of personal time management is for you to take the time to look into the future. Project forward 5 years and think about where you want to be. Create a mental picture of your ideal future and then think about the steps that you would have to take starting today to make it a reality. Remember, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. All that really matters is where you're going. Focus on the future rather than the past. Focus on opportunities rather than problems. Think about solutions and what specific actions you could take rather than things that have gone wrong and who is to blame. Keep asking, where do we go from here? As John Maynard Keynes said, we must give a lot of thought to the future because that is where we're going to be spending the rest of our lives. In many companies, 80% of the time of senior people is spent on the problems of yesterday rather than on the opportunities of tomorrow. Keep thinking of ways that you can change the things you are doing today to ensure that your future is consistent with what you desire. Project forward 5 years. Gary Hamel and C.K. Prahalad, the strategic planners who wrote the book Competing for the Future, encourage decision makers to project forward several years when they do strategic planning. They encourage executives to imagine that their company is the top company in the industry some years in the future. They then identify the products, services, markets, and especially talents, skills, and abilities that they will need to be industry leaders 5 years from now. Finally, they encourage business leaders to begin immediately to develop the core competencies they will need to be market leaders in the future. You should do the same. Focus on the first 20%. In setting priorities, remember that the first 20% of any task usually accounts for 80% of the value of that task. Once you begin working on the task, the first 20% of the time that you spend planning and organizing the resources necessary to achieve the task usually accounts for 80% of your success. In setting priorities, always focus on the first 20% of the task. Get on with it and get it done. The next 80% will tend to flow smoothly once the first 20% is complete. If you are in sales, Getting the initial appointment where you meet face-to-face with the decision maker is the first 20% of the transaction, but it accounts for 80% of the value in the sales process. The presentation, the closing of the sale, the follow-up, the delivery of the product or service, and so on, represents the second 80% that only accounts for 20% of the value. Forget about the small things. In setting priorities, never give in to the temptation to clear up small things first. Don't start at the bottom of your list and work up to the important tasks at the top. Don't allow yourself to get bogged down in low-priority activities. Don't major in minors. As Goethe said, the things that matter most must never be at the mercy of the things that matter least. The natural tendency of human nature is to follow the path of least resistance. In time management and personal work, this means that we have a natural tendency to start on small tasks, thinking that as soon as we get warmed up, we will launch into our big tasks and we will be more productive. Here's what I have found. When you start on little tasks, they begin to multiply, like rabbits in the springtime. When you begin clearing up your small tasks, you seem to attract more and more small tasks to work on. The longer and harder you work, the more small tasks seem to arise. By the end of the day, you will be exhausted and you won't have accomplished anything of value. Start with your most important work first. 5 key questions for setting priorities. There are 5 key questions that you can ask yourself regularly to ensure that you are working on your top priorities and getting the very most done that is possible for you. Question number 1. Why am I on the payroll? Ask yourself if what you are doing right now is the most important thing that you have been hired to do. If your boss were sitting across from you, watching you,